This week on SV Lynx. Welcome to this week's SV Lynx video. Last week, we went over a big design change in our forward seating area, switching it up to a booth-style 4-person seating area. This week, we have another design change that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, these keep coming up, but we're trying to improve the boat, and sometimes as we go, we figure out ways to do that. So we're going to tell you about that when we get over to the lot. But we also, at the end of this video, want to answer some of the viewer questions. We haven't done that in a few videos now, and there's a bunch of questions, and so we'll go over those at the end of the video. But for right now, let's head on over to the lot and take a look at what's going on with building SV Lynx.
Monday morning, and Brian and I have already been here working hard for a couple hours, about 3 hours actually. And what we've been doing is sanding and prepping and cutting all of the tabs and peel ply, because we've got a tab in the table and the nav station. And it's really important that these are very securely tabbed, because they're part of what makes the structure of the boat strong. Because this big bridge deck here, which is tabbed in many places to many of these benches and different things, but the more the merrier, because this big heavy bridge deck, we want it tied into everything. And so this is a major bulkhead right here. So if we double tab down the sides and double tab around here, then this is adding to the structure and strength of the whole boat there. And so it's very important to strengthen things as much as you can, because we want this boat to be, next to bulletproof. Parts of it are bulletproof. The basalt parts are fairly bulletproof. But the whole boat is going to be very strong because of all the tabbing everywhere. So we want to continue that. So today we're going to start by tabbing this section of the seat in right here. And then after lunch, we'll move over and tab in this whole section of it. And then we'll move over to the nav station and start tabbing, the same reason, all of that into the bulkhead, into the bridge deck, all of that. So this will all get tabbed together, and it just creates a massive structure of strength. So anyhow, that's why we're getting going on this. So today's going to be mostly tabbing. It was prepping for tabbing first, a lot of sanding and cleaning and prepping. But now that that's all set, we've got to get going on here. And there's also a few fixes. There's a exposed foam piece right here, and that's because we cut this wall used to come out to here. And once we cut that wall away, it exposed a piece of foam right there. So we'll fill that while we're at it. And any other small problem areas like that, make sure everything is also not just tabbed but sealed completely. So Brian's mixing epoxy for me right now, and he's already got the peel ply and the tabs cut and up here ready to go. They're written, we always just write the size of the tab right onto the boat, so we know that a 17-inch one goes there, 56 goes there, 52 goes there, because we cut all of them for the whole thing, so we don't want to get mixed up. So we just write on the boat, because this is all getting faired and painted anyway. We'll go right over all that stuff. ran out of epoxy. So Brian's gonna mix me up a little bit more so we can wet this out, get the next layer on, wet it out, and a peel ply on, and we'll be done with this. Seem to have a glove problem. We'll be done with this one. Let me get a new glove. All right, lunchtime. Get to that one next.
So this is the bench for our new seating area, and I'm going to route the edges to smooth them out a little bit so they're not so sharp when we sit down.
You know, it warmed up too much in the afternoon yesterday to finish cabbing, so we'll work on that today. It got over 90 some degrees, that in Celsius. Let me take a look at how this one came out. A little sanding there, but the rest of this looks pretty good. All right, that is in there. Part of the boat now. Now we'll get over this side. Start the inside and outside of this. And then yesterday, since we couldn't do epoxy, we came down here and started, let me see if I can set this camera down. Started working on the soles that are going to fit in here. Like that. So this one and then the one in front there, these are the two underneath the bed. But we've decided to make a slight change. This has to do with our water tanks. And when we were building our water tanks in as DIY water tanks, meaning part of the hull, it made sense to put them down in this section because it's a giant well in there. And this one has this opening and such here, so it made sense for us to use that one. But things have changed. And since these are built-in tanks now, there's really no reason not to take them from there and put them here. And a lot of benefits to it, because this, what was going to be here were the Victron inverters and that kind of thing. And if we move those forward and put the water tanks back here, we move 200 pounds forward and we move 660 pounds backwards, more towards the center of the boat. And that's going to take weight off the bow, and that's a lot better for us. It's also easier for us to inspect the level of the water here in these tanks visually if we need to. And we're getting into there, we would have had to lift the bed and take the top off, and so that would have been a pain, but it's going to be very easily to visually check the levels of water. So, but the main thing is to move that 660 pounds back a little bit. So we decided to do that, and I only have one sort of decision left here, and that is that the tanks
if I put them here, just about the level of this bottom of this right here. I don't know if you see that or not. Let me go over here. About at the level of the bottom of this right here. But they're too long to go this direction. This is 35, and they would have to go back another 3 inches beyond where that bulkhead is. Now they will fit sideways, like this, because they're only this long, and so they'd fit right in here, and the width doesn't have any problem. So we can put them sideways. The downside of putting them sideways is visually we can only check the level of the water in one tank through here. And the other tank, we can't see the level of water. But if I turned them this way, to the end on, we could see both tank levels visually right through here. And so we could make this either an opening door or a plexiglass door that you can see right through. A couple options there. So one option is, if I wanted to do that, is to just cut the size of the tank 2 holes right here and let the tank move through that bulkhead into there. And the bulkhead's still plenty strong with that, if we do that. So that's one option. And the other one is don't worry about the visual side of it and just put tank readers in the top that you're going to read at the helm station, and just do it that way. So I'll think about it today and we'll figure that out.
So now I'm going to be cutting some fiberglass and peel ply for the tabbing of the L brackets in our buoyancy compartments.
We got all of our peel ply and all of our glass ready to go. We're going to tab the inside and outside of bench number 2 here. Brian's down mixing up some thickened epoxy so we can put beads along there for a cove, all these corners. And while he does that, I'll give it one more wipe. It's already been cleaned once yesterday, but in case dust has settled, I'll wipe it again. Ready for epoxy. Okay, off we go. Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
This is 30 inches. Do we have a 30?
Yeah.
One thing's going to be nice is sitting at this table, you're going to have an awesome view out the front of this boat. Just the right, height here to see right out. These big windows in the front here, so it should be a nice place to sit when you want to take a view. Plenty of air coming through. There's going to be a hatch here and a hatch here, so you can they go the other way. They open out. That's going to let a lot of air through for this table area here, and on back through the whole salon and other seating area. But it should be a nice table. All right, next. On to the next. Okay, we've been adjusting the sole here. Looks like a pretty good fit. Squeaky because we haven't glued it in yet. And this one over here is probably pretty close as well. So those are ready to tack in. So we've got this in, we've used a level, got it level. And so it's sitting in here nice, and I've marked a line along the top there. And the next thing is we're going to remove this, and we'll figure out where the L brackets have to get glued in to support this. So next up, we are going to go ahead and put our L brackets in here. So we got our laser level to mark exactly the height, which has to be the exact same height as the webbing in the center right there. So we've got a laser line there, and sorry about the creaking. I'm standing on the other sole that's not glued in. This is the L bracket, and it's going to go in here. And so we're going to glue in across the back, across this end, on each side of that webbing, each side of that webbing right there, and then nothing on the side over there because we really need to. The angle of the hull is we matched the cut on the sole, so it's already braced against there. And by the time we glue it and tab it, it won't go anywhere. So we only really need to put something here because you really can't just glue to the top of foam like that. And over here, we're going to be gluing to fiberglass and tabbing to fiberglass. And on the end, there's nothing over there to land on. So we need to put supports there. And of course, same thing here. So Brian's mixing right now, and we'll get these first 4 of them in here. All right, that was minorly difficult, but we got it. This last one here didn't want to stay up, so we've got a brick on it to hold it in place. And the other ones are sticking just fine. They're right on their laser marks. And we got the other one back there as well. Can't hardly see it, but that one's all on the ends. We haven't done the centerpiece yet, like on this one. We've already done the center, but we'll do that center on the next go round. And then we'll have to clean the bottom of these dirty things all up because who wants dirt in our boat before we seal it up? So we'll clean it all up nice, and we'll get ready to seal the bilge area. Now these are not going to be bilged technically because no water will ever get in there. These are flotation buoyancy compartments, so that these are completely sealed and will always be just for positive buoyancy in the boat.
So this is our Nav Station electronic panel, and we're going to core out the edge because it's going to raise and lower, and if we core out the edge, then we can seal it. All done with that. So now we're going to fill this ends with thickened epoxy. So I need to clean it out with some alcohol before we can do anything. All right, here comes Brian with my epoxy.
I'm over here in our forward cabin down in the area where we're going to have our buoyancy tank areas. Buoyancy as in these are just filled with air and sealed up so that they give the boat buoyancy if it ever needed it, so that this whole boat is positively buoyant. And there's a lot of these different compartments that are just filled with air. And so we're sealing this one up right now, and we already showed you putting on these L brackets so that we can have something to glue our sole down onto here. But we're also going to put a tab along the bottom of fiberglass, and that's just because right now it's just a piece of glue holding these on, and we don't want them to crack loose. So we're going to go ahead and put a piece of tabbing on there. The Admiral, I showed you her earlier cutting these tabs for me, but at this point she's out working on the Nav Station electronics panel, getting those sealed up, and Brian's mixing epoxy and helping with that. But he'll also mix epoxy for me and bring it back, which is what I'm waiting for right now. So it may take a minute because he's got to supply 2 of us. But as soon as he gets here, I'm actually going to start in the other compartment here, because in this forward one we only got 3 of these glued in, and we've still got the 2 long ones that go down the center and this one side one to put on here. That's the long one right up there, and here's that short one, and there's the other long one over there. So they're all ready to go. This has all been cleaned, so I'm just waiting on epoxy. So we'll put those on, but we won't tab that compartment today. But over here in this compartment, I'll go ahead and put our tabbing in, and then on our next work day we'll tab this one because it'll be all set up. I say our next work day instead of tomorrow because there's a couple reasons why we won't be working tomorrow. The first is Thursday's our one of our 2 days off every week, and the second reason is that it's going to rain, and it's going to rain a lot. It's going to rain all day tomorrow, which is no big deal from a standpoint. We've already taken the day off anyway, but we of course will have to prep the whole boat for make sure rain isn't going to get in too much. But that's not the problem. The problem is that rainstorm is a big one. It's going to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Now, that could change because that's too many days ahead for them to get accurate on weather reporting. But right now, that's what they're saying, is the heaviest are the first 2 days, Thursday, Friday, and then lesser amounts of rain for the rest of those days. So we just don't know how much work we're going to get done and what our next day will be that we can really work on the boat. We will definitely come in on Saturday to check the boat for when the heavy rain's over, to make sure that no water got in anywhere serious, and if it has, get it out. And then I just don't know that we'll get much work done. It'll all depend if the weather report's right or not. And then Sunday's our second day off, so that's fine. And then Monday, Tuesday, we'll have to play by ear and see what the weather actually turns out to be. Did the storm pass through faster than they expected? You know, we don't know. So that's sort of the story here. And unfortunately, that just means that this is sort of a short week that we're not going to get as much done. Fortunately, we had the Admiral come down and start helping again. She's feeling a lot better. And so that, you know, a little extra assistance there. And here comes Brian with epoxy. All right, time to get our tabbing in here, but we've got to put a little thickened epoxy along the base of the L bracket because it causes a gap there. Now Brian's mixing up some straight epoxy, and we'll put the tabs on all this. Well, I can't remember if I told you the resolution of our planning for our Victron equipment. We're shuffling a lot of things around right now. The water tanks, as I mentioned, we're moving up here. And I explained how that works. The Victron equipment was going to reverse. So the water tanks over here, the Victron equipment over there. The problem with that is this Victron equipment is a long ways, and it's getting further from the batteries, which are in the stern cabin underneath of it. This is sort of the same compartment, but at the stern cabin. And so that's a good 20 feet that and now 25 feet. That the power from the batteries has to bring all that power, about somewhere around 500 amps worth of power, up to these Victron inverters. So that's some serious bus bars, or like multiple 2-aught cable. And so that's very heavy, very expensive. So we're adding weight to the boat, and we're adding cost to the boat to put that much of a heavy duty run from the batteries up here. And then after it gets converted to AC, we got to take it from here all the way back again to get to, for example, our dive compressor, or our washing machine, which are 230 amp AC, but that's got to come from here. So it's got to go all the way back. So we got all this power coming this way, and all that weight, and then we get all that power returning that way. So the answer is move the Victron equipment over there. We'll get more about that because I got epoxy. I got to get back to it. Epoxy waits for no discussions. All right, let's have some tabs. How about back one first? 22.5. And this is why we didn't want to put peel ply in, because now that this job's done, other than cleaning this first, we're just going to be gluing the sole down on here permanently, and never to see the inside of this ever again. We wanted to make sure the tabbing, we could have just glued these L brackets in. But what if the boat flexed some way and it cracked that epoxy loose, and this got loose inside of this compartment? What a nightmare. So by tabbing them on, we're making sure that they're never going to move.
All right, time to pull some peel ply on our seating area. Got that done.
Continuing our L bracket theme, got another one here. We're going to put this one at the back of the seat right here, and that'll give the seat support all the way around, and that will allow us to start getting this seat glued in here soon. Oh, the Admiral forgot a piece of peel ply. It's hiding, blending in. Easily fixed. Let's glue it on. Had a bit of a bow, so I had to keep the two ends up and put a little weight in the middle to bow it down along the line, but now it looks good. We're working on the Nav Station desk here. We haven't sealed the back.
There was a slight gap behind the desk and to the starboard side of it, so we just created 2 Western red cedar strips so that we didn't have to fill that about 1/4 inch or 8mm gap with all thickened epoxy.
How's the job done? One bonus time. It was supposed to rain all day today, and then Friday and Saturday and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. But it's Thursday, normally our day off, and not raining. So we made a quick call and decided that we would go ahead and come work, because now the new weather report says it's not going to start raining until tonight at 8 or 9 o'clock. So we can get one more day of work in this week. That's good news. So what we're working on right now is, this is one of the soles up underneath of the starboard forward cabin. So we're cutting that out. We use the sole from the port side as a guide for this one, since the two compartments are virtually identical. Here, we're angling the circular saw so that we can get the curvature of the hull to match up on the two places where it meets up there. Now that we finished cutting it out, we have to round the corners because they won't fit into the places where we coved and tabbed unless we do that. Okay, time for a test fitting. All right, let's see if it fits. It's perfect. It's a little tight, but other than being a little tight, it's very good. So we'll just grind a little bit off so it goes down a little easier, but it's perfect. Hand me that hook. All right.
So this week we tabbed in the seating and nav station areas, and we got to work on the forward cabin soles.
Yeah, and as you saw, we had another design change or two when we decided to move those water tanks forward and move that over 1,200, more actually 1,300 pounds of water a little bit more towards the center of the boat forward. And that allows us to be able to see visually, to see the water levels on those. And of course, we're also, because of moving those and such, we're moving all the Victron equipment to the stern out of the front. And that saves us a lot of weight and a lot of cost on the boat. So we have some questions from our viewers that we would like to answer. Marianne and I will take them on. I'll read a few. She'll read a few, and we'll answer them.
Our first question is from Will. He asked, did you make certain those seated close to the window at that modified settee won't bang their head on the window?
Yes, we did. But let me show you something here. So let me get to that. All right, to answer that, we're going to pretend that we're in the boat right here, and Marianne was sitting at the original seat, which the third person, there would be a person there, and then Marianne up by the windows. And the windows are tilted like this, and so her head would be very, very close to the window right here because of the tilt that this is at. But now that we've moved it so she's sitting to the side of the tilt, you'll notice that because her shoulder is facing it, her head is much further away from the window. So actually she has more headroom with the new layout than the original one, which had her head close to the slope of the windows. Okay, so that's the answer. All right, let's go to our next question.
Our next question is, are the nav station and settee getting tabbed in? This person thinks it would be a good idea to tab as we assembled.
He's right. And we should have probably tabbed in some of the shelving in under the nav station as we built it. But the truth was it had very large openings for the doors, and it wasn't that hard to just get under there and do it. And of course, we did tab in the seating as we built that. So kind of half did what he was suggesting, but in the end, we got it all tabbed. The next question is it necessary to core and fill every bare edge of our foam panels?
Yes, it is good practice to do that for a couple of reasons. The edge is foam, and we want to make sure that no moisture gets in there. And even if something isn't going to be in the water or at the water line, there will be plenty of moisture in the air, and we want to keep that from getting into that foam. And also, we want to have hard edge instead of a soft edge on those parts.
Right. So what do we have next?
Next, with all your tweaks to the design, does it mean you must have some leftover panels to use for fabricating your modified parts? How much extra foam do you have with the kit? Any concerns about running out of materials?
Yes. On the last part, lots of concerns about running low. And the thing is that there's a lot of offcuts because these were huge panels, and they, of course, cut this jigsaw puzzle out of those panels, and it left a lot of little extra space around it, and they ship all that to you, all that extra foam. The problem is they made a little mistake. This is hole number one, the first of these boats, and some mistakes are made, and they forgot to send the PVC foam that we needed for the mullions and the dagger boards and the rudders. So that was just left out of the shipment. And now later, we had them ship us some of the PVC foam for the rudders. But before that, we talked to them, and they said, well, you can also use offcuts to make those. And so I decided to go ahead and do that rather than pay for all the shipping and stuff from South Africa on that as a separate order. So we used up a lot of offcuts building the two big dagger boards. And then when we got to the mullions and realized we didn't have the foam for those either, we used a lot more of the offcuts to build all of the mullions around the salon. So we used up a ton of our excess building those things, the dagger boards and the mullions. So that meant that we're getting a little low on offcuts. Now, fortunately, we're getting towards the end of the build of the boat, and so far we haven't run out, and we still got some. So I'm hoping that we're just going to squeak by and make it, but it's close. So what do we do if we run out? Well, we can build some things out of marine plywood, for example, if we don't want to order more PVC foam. And it's quite expensive to order that. The plywood's much less expensive. It's a little heavier, but it's also stronger. Let me give you an example. We're adding by our own choice, and one of those modifications we're making to the boat, we're adding a single fold-down bunk in one of the stern cabins. I think that one's on the starboard side. And that makes that cabin be able to sleep 3 people instead of 2. But it's optional. You can fold it up against the wall, and it's just out of the way, and you just have a 2-person cabin if you want. But it gets a 3rd bunk in there. But that wasn't part of the original plan, so that whole support, the bottom of the bed that folds down, was going to come from an offcut, and we have that set aside for that. But if we run out of offcuts for something else that we need, we may use that and then just turn that one into marine plywood, because the marine plywood is going to be very, very strong for that bed support up there. So we might do that. So I hope that answers your question about the offcuts and the state of where we're at on those. All right. Let's see. We have another question. It says, just glimpsing your tank baffles going in, I couldn't quite see if you've allowed vent holes at the top of those baffle panels.
And the answer to that is yes, we did.
Right. We know that the air has to be able to transfer up there. So there are some very smaller vent holes up there. It's just for air transfer between the tanks, so that there's a vacuum problem as liquids are trying to get out of the tank or in. So let's see what's next.
The next one is great description about how holes allowing power, computer network, and some diesel conduits. But what about your clean water and wastewater plumbing holes?
Okay, two different things. Let's take each of those. We'll start with the black water, wastewater he's mentioning. We're never transferring that across the boat. That nasty stuff down in those black water tanks has a big pump out hose going up to the top to the deck, and we'll just pump that out through those holes if we need to, or if we're way offshore, miles offshore, there's a pump system on either side of the boat to pump it right overboard. So we never transfer that back and forth. So that one, we don't need anything going across the bridge deck. But now let's talk about clean water. We do want to be able to transfer clean water between tanks to balance the boat. Because as I've mentioned in this video, those freshwater tanks weigh up to 660 pounds worth of water in there. And if the boat's a little off balance and we want to balance that, we can pump water either direction if we have a line going back and forth between them. But we're not taking that line through the same area behind the nav station and seating area that it goes through. That line is going through the forward lockers that are up there, because we have our rain catchment system coming off the roof. It goes into that center locker, goes into a filter system, and from that can go to either tank. Well, that also means that we have those lines going to either tank right there, and so we can also use them to pump water back and forth between those. So we don't need that freshwater line in where those other conduits are.
Okay. Another viewer saw that we talked about having another problem and asks, are you keeping track of how many problems you have encountered?
Well, let's start by saying, looking at the definition here, most of what we're doing here isn't a problem. Most of what we're changing is a design choice. And we just, as we're building it, figure out a little bit better way to do something and that benefits us more doing it this way. It's not a problem. It's a design change. And the majority of them are design changes that we're making. And remember, this is hull number one, as I mentioned. It's only been designed on paper and a 3D model that I built. And so this is the first physical build of this boat. And as you do that, you're going to discover things that could be designed a different way that would be better. And we've done that in many, many, many areas there. Now, there are a couple of things that were really problems that we fixed, but again, it has to do with it being a new design. So most are design changes, a couple problems. But he said, are we keeping track of them? Absolutely. And what we're going to do at the end, when the whole thing's done and we've known all of the changes we've made, is we're going to make a video that goes over every single thing we modified on this boat and why we chose to modify that from the original plan, hopefully to benefit the next builder of the Solitaire 1520 so that they don't have to modify this. They can get Schoening to change the plans. Now, Schoening may change them anyway because I'm going to supply them with all this information as well. They may change them, but as the builder of the boat, you can request any of these changes be made to the kit before they cut it. So it would save you a lot of work in building this 1520 if you like these modifications and want them to have them already done as they cut the kit. So that's the story with our design changes and very few minor problem ones that we had to fix. All right, we have one more question we're going to take. I would have the edges of the table rest on an edge of the seat for support when collapsed. He's talking about the two seating areas in the salon, and we're having the table drop down to become either a daybed or actually a bunk if we really have an excess of people on board. So that's his question.
And the short answer is yes, that's an excellent idea.
But that's what we already planned to do. And we just haven't shown you that yet, but there is going to be an edge mounted to the side so that when the table drops down, it lands on that edge. And now the table legs are still necessary as part of the support because, and they're telescoping, so they work. But because the first one is an L-shaped table, so it's only going to get that support that he was referring to on two sides. But the other two sides don't have anything, so the table legs will be there to give that support. And on the new Boost style one, we have a lot more support there now because there'll be three sides of that, since it's a U-shaped table, to drop down. So the only leading edge that you first are getting onto to sit down is the only one that doesn't have any support. And the leg, again, of the table down there is going to give that support so that it doesn't sag as you're sitting down onto it or something. So great idea, but it was already in the plan. But thank you for thinking about those kinds of things. And all of you who ask questions, we do appreciate the questions and suggestions that we get for how to do things. We read them all and use what we can. So thanks.
And thank you all for watching this week's video. We appreciate that. And thank you in particular to our patrons listed here. We could not do this project without you. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, click on the bell icon to be notified of our next video.
And in our next video, we'll see if there's any more design changes that we decide to make, or if not. But we are getting much closer to finishing the build of the kit now. It's moving along pretty swiftly. And with the salon basically done, a couple small things to do there, but mostly done, we're moving down into the hulls full-time now for the next 6 weeks. And I hope to have that construction built, the walls up, so the heads, shower stuff, all of that in the next 6 weeks. So stay tuned. Lots of building to go.
Bye.
Bye.